Why envious? Because I'm generous. Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of my kitchen table reflection. It is the 25th Sunday in the ordinary time, and my friends, please fasten your seatbelt because this one, oh my goodness, this one is gonna take you to a whole new place. It's gonna set you free. It's gonna shake everything in you like you are on a roller coaster, but it's gonna bring joy and peace in your heart again. Now, have you ever been jealous or envious of somebody? Have you ever wished that you had what somebody had, or experienced their break? Have you ever compared yourself to somebody and say, man, it must be nice to be them. It must be nice to have their success. It must be nice to have all the breaks they are having. It must be nice to do all the things that they are doing. And then you are sitting wallowing in self-pity, and it's eating you up, it's taking the joy out of you because you think you're not measuring up. You think you're not good enough. You think you're not having the kind of breaks that you deserve. And then you see other people whom you think they don't deserve good things happening to them because they have not worked hard like you have. Or you think, they've always got it so easy, and you are plunged into this abyss of victimhood, and you begin to wallow and to complain, and then it's making you miserable, and it's taking every aspect of light in your life. I wanna set you free from that. Maybe by listening to this is gonna help you, because when you think about it, there are two ways we can see our world. We can look at our world from a place of scarcity, from a place of lack, and that will make us to be stingy, and then we start holding things, and we are not allowing ourselves to join the generative generousness of our universe. When you find yourself operating from a place of scarcity, from a place of lack, that's when you begin to think that when something good happens to somebody else, it meant that good thing was taken from your own goodness. It's like a piece of pie that has been taken away, and you're not going to recover that again. And then you think, oh, they're taking all the good things that's supposed to come my way. And so you begin to think like, there is a limited amount of goodness to go around, a limited amount of blessing to go around. The thing is, when you see your life that way, it means that you are seeing your world from a place of dualistic thinking. We are, 1 + 1 is always 2. And then you find yourself into this attitude of counting, or measuring, and trying to think like there's always not enough. But the thing is, there's always more than enough. There's always good things flowing into your life. But if it feels like we don't see them because they don't appeal to what we think or what we consider to be good. So when you operate from a place of scarcity, you don't see goodness go around. You don't see joy or love go around. You think there's not enough. And so when other people experience what we call breakthrough in their life, we think, oh, they're taking all the breakthrough that's supposed to come our way. And then we are like, gee, why does it always have to be them experiencing good things? Why does it always have to be me having to sit here and nothing good will come my way? I have a friend who once said to me that whenever it gets to his turn of experiencing some kind of success or breakthrough, there's always something that will hinder that from happening. For him, he thinks that whenever it comes to his own turn, the door will be shut before him. Then he look at other people who don't even make any effort. They apply to that one job, just one application, and they get the job. And then he's sitting there like, applying for 10, 15 jobs and he wouldn't even get an interview from any of them. Then it's like, it must be nice to be them. Everything works out well for them. It's all going on well for them. When it comes my own turn, nothing happens. Nothing happens for me. You see, when you have that kind of mindset, that kind of attitude, that you're operating from a place of fear and lack and scarcity, that's how you're gonna be seeing your world. And it's gonna affect you physiologically. But when you begin to see your life in a generous way, where you begin that there is enough to go around, that goodness is infinite. Richard Rohr will always make this joke by saying, what is the half of infinite? Infinite. What is the quarter of infinite? Infinite. Which means you can't split the infinite. When we talk about the goodness of God, the blessings of God, joy, love, all these things, peace, they are infinite. You cannot split the divine. You cannot split the goodness of God. It's a generous universe. It's a generous universe that keeps generating generosity through and through, and it's overflowing. Like the psalmist said, my cup runneth over. It's overflowing, the goodness of God overflowing, and it does not have any boundary. It is for everyone, anywhere. The goodness of God flows to everyone. And so it would be a mistake if we find ourselves thinking that it's just a limited resources that is meant for a few people. That will make us lose sight of the generosity of God pouring into our hearts every single minute of our life. You see, in our gospel today, Jesus gave this parable, which I think one of the lines is the antidote to every form of jealousy, to every form of enviness, to every form of comparison, in a way that you put yourself down and think other people's life are better than yours. In this parable, Jesus said that a landowner who owns a vineyard went out to hire some people to work in his vineyard. So he went out in the morning and hired, the first set of workers, and then agreed to pay them 1 denarius a day, which is gonna be their day's job wage. And then he came back. Later in the day, he went out, and then he found some people who were idle because nobody was able to hire them. And so he hired those people and then asked them to come and work in his vineyard. And then he did this again and again and again. And you begin to wonder, why would there be people sitting idle, waiting for somebody to hire them, when it's like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 3 p.m., 4 p.m.? Why would people be sitting idle just waiting for somebody to hire them? Because in this parable, Jesus was trying to use what they were at home with to teach them something about the generous nature of God. Now, a parable is simply placing things side by side. So Jesus was trying to place side by side this idea of God's goodness with something that they are at home with farming, with working in a vineyard. At this time in history, the people of Israel, the Jewish people, they were pretty much run by the Romans. And the Romans imposed on them heavy taxation that most of them, they couldn't keep their job anymore because they were so in debt that they had to borrow money. And so because they couldn't pay back what they had borrowed, the Romans would take their farmland, which had been in the family for generations. And when this farmland is taken, it meant that they don't have any means of livelihood to feed their children. And so imagine some of them having to be hired to work in their own vineyard. Imagine a land that has been in your family for generations. Now you are being hired to work in that land. How humiliating that would be. And so that's why Jesus was using that idea to paint a picture. And so when this landowner goes and hires these people to work in his vineyard, at the end of the day, guess what? He paid each and every one of them the same amount. Yeah. And you're twitching your eye at this time, where you're like, well, that's not right. Yeah. Because if you are caught up in the mindset of 1 plus 1 is always 2, you're thinking, well, those people who started in the morning work more hours than those who started like 5 p.m. and work for just an hour and finish like 6 p.m. It's not fair to pay them the same amount of money, because the way we see things is all about calculating, measuring. I put this in, I'm going to get this back. I put that amount in, you know what? I get that amount back. That's how we operate. But when it comes to the divine, it does not work that way. God does not work in the way of calculating. That's why it's called grace, because it's a gift. And so the landowner pays all of them the same amount. And guess what? Those who were hired in the morning, who started working and who did the long hours more than any other person who was hired that day, they started to grumble to the landowner because they were expecting more money from the landowner. But the landowner said to them, well, I'm not being unjust to you. Did I not agree 1 denarius as your pay for your day's job? And then he said this line that, oh my goodness, this line has changed my life. He said this line, why envious? Because I'm generous. Oh my goodness. Why envious? Because I am generous. Imagine what this line would do to you, and what it will do for you when you are caught up in that space where you are filled with jealousy or enviness because you've seen your friend, bought his dream house. You live in a very poor house. You look at them; they've got a great job, but you two studied the same thing and you still can't get a job. You look at their children; they are always achieving and they're very smart, and your own children, they can't even finish high school. And it's like you're like, why is it that they look so perfect? They go on holidays and all these beautiful places, and I can't even afford to travel interstate. And you're wondering, it must be nice to be there. It must be nice to have the outbreaks, and you are dying on the inside. Imagine God saying to you, why be envious? Because I'm generous. I'm telling you, this line has helped me a lot. You see, all those little ways that we begin to compare ourselves and wish we have what they had. Imagine God speaking to you and say, hey, calm down. Why envious? Because I'm generous. This line in the Bible, in the Gospel of Matthew, says that God allows the rain to fall for the good and the bad, the righteous and the unrighteous, the just and unjust. It's like we are meant to understand that the goodness of God does not have any boundary. It flows even to those people whom we think they don't deserve it. So maybe next time you get a phone call of your friend telling you, man, I've just got this and I had this break, and that feeling of jealousy comes in. Maybe think about what you said, and maybe say to them, I am so happy for you. It may sound very fake, but maybe with time it will become a conscious thing to do, coming from a good place in your heart. Maybe you begin to tell yourself, if something good could happen to them, it's also a sign that something good could happen to me. Why be envious? Because I'm generous. May that set you free, my friend, through Christ our Lord. Amen.